My name is Father Francis Pizzarelli. I'm a Montfort missionary Roman Catholic priest, but I'm also the founder, executive director, and CEO of Hope House Ministries, which is a multifaceted human services agency that reaches out to young people and families in crisis and at risk. That I started Hope House 34 years ago, primarily to work with young people who were runaways, young people that were suffering and struggling with emotional abuse and neglect. And one of our key mission points is to really respond to the needs that are evolving and changing. And what became very troubling to me is that a growing number of young people that were coming my way, reaching out for support and assistance, were also battling various phases of substance abuse and alcohol addiction. I just find, as someone who works in a lot of our public high schools, they do a wonderful job in a lot of areas, but we fail miserably in helping kids to communicate, to problem solve, to deal with the pressures of day-to-day life. They have no skill in that area. Those who are strong and are invested in other activities seem to weather the storm. But I think as we've learned, especially as we look at college students, no one is above reproach with this infection. We have star athletes that are quiet, closeted heroin addicts. I mean, I worked with a young man that was on a tennis scholarship to a major university for 2 years, 3.9. And it was only after the third time that he overdosed on heroin was it discovered that he was using heroin every day for over 2 years. Enabling is as infectious as the use of narcotics and the use of illegal drugs. I can't tell you how many parents who are well educated with many advanced degrees who will minimize what their sons and daughters are doing after their sons and daughters have told me what they're doing, and I'm alarmed. And they're saying, do they really have to go to a rehab? Can't we? Yeah, they really do. And of course, when teenagers and young adults see their parents backpedaling, they feed right into that. And I think that's a big problem. I don't think parents realize the seriousness. If we want to reverse this, we've got to intervene early. Right now, because of the young men that I've taken from jail, I must get at least 5 or 6 letters from prisons all over begging for assistance, and not necessarily for me to rescue them from jail, but they know they're addicts, they're getting high while they're incarcerated, and they know that if they don't go from jail to a program, it's only a matter of time that they'll be back in jail. It's out of control. And I think we have to work harder at forging a more open dialogue with the criminal justice system so that we can provide alternatives to incarceration, especially for the motivated. There are those young people that would rather do their time than really be involved in what we're doing here at Hope Academy. And then we need to, we're one little entity. We need to challenge other groups that are committed to recovery, instead of looking always at the bottom line, to maybe look at how can they expand treatment opportunities. There's no money to provide rehabilitation services in our prisons. 60% of our inmate population in Riverhead are drug addicts or young people that are there because of drug-related offenses, and your tax dollars to the tune of $122,000 are just warehousing young people who are going to leave there when they do their time and be back right into what got them there in the first place. And why I think long-term treatment is necessary is I've come to understand human behavior, both because of how I've been trained as a clinical social worker, but also life experience. People come with a lot of baggage. And usually in the first 28 days, people are detoxing and forcing out of their bodies all of the toxins that, of course, are part of the problem. But they really don't begin to look at themselves. They usually don't have the skills to look at who they are and what got them here. And they're not comfortable really engaging in that. And if you force it, because it's like an academic course that you got to get things done in 15 weeks, you're going to lose half of them because they're not ready. And so I wanted to create something that was flexible enough, but also demanding enough, that the young men especially that were either mandated to my care or freely chose to enter treatment, that we would be respectful of their own journey and their own timeline. Educationally, they're not always at their top of their game, so they can get some support in terms of basic study skills and that kind of thing. But we really attempt to really provide developmentally the opportunity for young people to really look at who they are and to look to where they want to go. But most importantly, which I don't think any treatment program, to my knowledge, really addresses because it's not fiscally appropriate, is how do you help these guys as they enter recovery transition back into the world that helped feed their addiction? And I make a big distinction between recovery and abstinence. I think in a lot of treatment programs, young people, or older people for that matter, learn abstinence, but they don't enter recovery because they haven't addressed the attitudes. And part of addressing the attitudes is that you may stop the substance, but if you're acting out with pornography or with overeating or bulimia, anorexia, which is a form of the addiction family, if you're a gambler, and those are things that are more socially acceptable, as much as they can be destructive to a person's growth and development. And that's not stuff, especially people in early recovery, want to talk about. What a lot of early recovery people don't want to hear is that the research says you're not really out of danger. For at least the first 5 years, you're considered a novice. That's a long time. And that's why we encourage counseling, we mutual aid support groups for those who are comfortable with the 12-step AA, because it's free, it's available, it's all over the place. But, the new phenomenon among our college kids is many of our college students don't find that a comfortable place for a whole host of reasons, which on some level is very justifiable and understandable. But then we have to provide them some support mechanism, that we really have to work to remove the stigma, and that there is wholeness and new life after addiction, and that kids may take a slight detour, but it doesn't have to become their way of life.